Are you ready to look beyond charts and technical indicators? In today's video, we're exploring financial astrology and the key astrological events in December 2025 that may impact cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, altcoins, and traditional markets like gold, silver, and the DXY. This analysis is focusing on the collective psychology driving financial behavior, ranging from the impulsive optimism of retail traders to the cautious strategies of institutional investors, to provide you with a unique strategic edge. We'll even analyze how the December 10th FOMC rate decision and press conference will clash directly with these planetary forces. Disclaimer: please note, these predictions are based on traditional financial astrology principles and archetypal planetary symbolism. Astrology maps energetic potentials, not certainties. We strongly advise that all traders integrate these insights with rigorous fundamental analysis and robust risk management. Be vigilant for geopolitical events or regulatory shifts, as these external shocks can quickly override astrological indicators. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. And now, let's decode the astrology for December 2025, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started. Macroeconomic and Market Climate Overview, December 2025. Overall macro theme, a tale of two halves. December 2025 is defined by a significant transition, a shift from speculative expansion to disciplined consolidation. The month initially experiences high volatility and optimistic, risk-on behavior, driven by expansive fire energy. However, this speculative fervor culminates in a dramatic reality check around mid-month, leading to a focus on structural integrity, valuation, and profit-taking heading into the year-end close. The overarching narrative is one where belief-driven markets transition sharply into evidence-based ones, demanding tangible results over hype. Phase 1, the Sagittarius Rush and Speculative Peak, December 1st to December 14th. The first half of December will be dominated by buoyant, risk-on sentiment. With the Sun, Venus, and Mars all moving through Sagittarius, the focus will be on expansion, international affairs, global trade, and speculative growth narratives. This environment encourages investment in high-beta assets, such as altcoins and emerging technological ventures. Risk appetite is significantly heightened, potentially pushing speculative markets toward overextension. This upward momentum is expected to peak in high volatility around the full moon in Gemini, December 4th, which may manifest as a climactic top or a rapid reversal driven by excessive communication, hype, and overleveraging. A continuous current of strong mutable tension throughout this period, marked by multiple squares to Neptune, the nodes, and Saturn, suggests that initial optimism will be immediately followed by sharp, sobering reality checks. This volatility indicates a difficult environment for sustained trend following during the first 2 weeks, where rapid shifts from exuberance to doubt are likely. The turning point and reality check, mid-month. The macroeconomic climate pivots sharply around the second week of December due to two critical planetary shifts, signaling the dissolution of hype and the confrontation with structural limits. Neptune turns direct, December 10th. This celestial event is a crucial reversal indicator, often coinciding with the dissipation of illusions and the clearing of confusion. As the fog lifts, previously hidden risks, scams, or weaknesses in highly speculative assets, such as certain DeFi projects or NFTs, may be revealed. While this clarity is bullish for the long-term health of the ecosystem, the revelation of truth can trigger temporary volatility and a sudden correction in weak or fraudulent projects. The Capricorn stellium, the major thematic pivot, arrives mid-month as Mars enters Capricorn, December 15th, followed by the Sun, December 21st, and Venus, December 24th. This ingress shifts the collective focus from speculative daring to corporate governance, institutions, discipline, and tangible, measured growth. This transition signals a significant cooling of risk appetite, favoring institutional stability and value over quick gains. Phase 2, the pragmatic shift and structural focus, December 15th, year-end. The second half of December emphasizes discipline, profit-taking, and structural consolidation. The Capricorn stellium supports traditional financial sectors and currencies, strengthening the US dollar index, DXY, as capital seeks safety and established value. For the crypto sector, this energy favors foundational, established assets like Bitcoin, BTC, and certain utility coins over highly speculative altcoins. This period demands a sober year-end review, with corporations, governments, and financial institutions focusing on clear regulatory compliance and long-term goal setting. Risk-off sentiment is likely to increase dramatically heading into the year-end holiday period as investors seek to lock in gains and reduce exposure to volatile assets. Key macro drivers and undercurrents: Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. Continuing its retrograde motion, Jupiter emphasizes internal, domestic, and security-seeking themes. This contracts general market liquidity and encourages caution, dissuading the excessive expansion and leverage Jupiter typically promotes. Growth is focused on foundational technology and community trust, benefiting coins linked to proven utility, while placing a focus on domestic economic issues like housing and food prices. Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Uranus continues to destabilize traditional financial values, keeping underlying volatility high in currency markets and commodities. This constant disruption of traditional monetary systems remains a foundational bullish driver for the crypto thesis. Unexpected shocks to the dollar index or inflation expectations are possible, potentially driving capital flows into alternative stores of value and innovation-focused technologies, DeFi, stablecoins. Saturn in Pisces. Saturn demands regulatory clarity and structural stability. Its direct motion supports the gradual clarification of financial reporting and legislative frameworks, potentially resolving previously foggy regulatory landscapes for both traditional finance and the crypto sector. Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto maintains its powerful transformative influence over technology and networks. This long-term secular trend strongly favors decentralized solutions and reinforces the power of the collective over centralized institutions, remaining the most potent long-term bullish undercurrent for innovative crypto assets and blockchain technologies. Chronological analysis and key astrological influences. The period from December 1st to 9th is characterized by an initial surge of expansive optimism immediately followed by a sharp encounter with structural resistance and volatility. This timeline marks a transition from extreme market greed to defensive positioning. December 1st to 4th, high optimism and volatility peak. The month opens with high optimism and expansive energy, driven by the Sun in Sagittarius, which fuels a strong risk-on environment. Speculative flows and bullish momentum dominate, supported by the harmonious Venus sextile Pluto transit, December 2nd, suggesting significant early institutional interest and opportunities in undervalued assets. Upward momentum is strong in Bitcoin and altcoins, making this an ideal time for gradual accumulation, especially near the beginning of the week. December 4th, full moon in Gemini. In financial astrology, a full moon signifies a culmination, revelation, or turning point. It's a period where hidden information comes to light, emotions run high, and markets can experience heightened volatility, often leading to reversals or tops and bottoms in price action. It marks the end of the waxing lunar cycle, growth, accumulation, and the beginning of the waning cycle, distribution, retracement. The influence of a full moon is strongest on the day of the event, extends for approximately 2 weeks until the subsequent new moon, and can set the tone for the entire lunar month. This full moon occurs with the moon in communicative Gemini. This climax of information flow and narrative hype typically triggers extreme volatility and erratic sentiment. Axis of influence. Gemini Sagittarius. This axis governs information, communication, short-term trends, local news, speculation, Gemini, versus global perspectives, international trade, legal frameworks, long-term outlooks, and higher truths, Sagittarius. The full moon brings a climax to themes related to the flow of information, media narratives, global economic policies, and the legal or ethical frameworks governing international finance and new technologies. The 6-month cycle completion. This full moon brings to culmination a cycle initiated approximately 6 months prior, likely around the Gemini new moon. Look for a resolution, major revelation, or a significant turning point regarding global communication, international travel, legal decisions affecting cross-border trade, or the public's collective belief systems that began around June 2025. It's a time when accumulated information or prevailing narratives reach a critical point, demanding a decision or a shift in perspective. Solar effects. Rulers, regulators, market leaders. With the Sun in Sagittarius, market leaders, regulators, and institutional players are focused on international finance, global trade agreements, long-term investment strategies, and the legal or ethical implications of financial systems. Their actions and pronouncements during this period will carry a strong emphasis on global reach, regulatory frameworks for emerging markets, like crypto, or a push for greater transparency and truth in international dealings. Lunar effects. Retail traders' psychology. The moon in Gemini indicates that retail traders' psychology is highly agile, reactive, and driven by immediate news, social media trends, and short-term speculation. There will be a flurry of information, rumors, and conflicting narratives circulating, making retail sentiment highly volatile and prone to quick shifts. Many might be engaging in short-term trading based on rapid-fire information, leading to increased activity and potential for pump-and-dump scenarios in less established assets. Dynamics between Sun and Moon. The opposition highlights a stark contrast between regulators attempting to establish broad, ethical, and long-term global frameworks, Sagittarius Sun, and the fragmented, often speculative, and emotionally driven reactions of individual traders to immediate news, Gemini Moon. This can create market indecision, policy debates, or sudden shifts as retail sentiment clashes with institutional directives, potentially leading to sharp reversals or a reevaluation of market narratives based on newly revealed information. Short-term effects. Day of full moon and next 2 weeks. The tension between belief, Sagittarius, and information, Gemini, often leads to sharp price swings based on breaking news and social media sentiment. This day is marked as the highest probability window for a temporary market top or a major high-volume reversal in crypto and speculative assets, potentially manifesting as a quick pump-and-dump scenario. The period immediately following this full moon will be characterized by heightened volatility, conflicting news cycles, and a strong emphasis on communication and information dissemination. Expect rapid swings in market sentiment as retail traders react to a deluge of data, rumors, and official statements. There's a strong potential for sudden regulatory announcements, significant legal developments impacting global markets, or major news stories related to international finance that can trigger market reversals. The overall atmosphere will be one of intense mental activity, speculation, and a critical reassessment of existing narratives. This Gemini full moon will be a period of intense information, emotional volatility, and a culmination of themes related to global communication, regulation, and the future of finance. For crypto and altcoins, it presents both significant opportunities for growth based on solid fundamentals and substantial risks from speculative excess and regulatory tightening. The coming 2 weeks will be critical for discerning truth from illusion in the rapidly evolving digital asset landscape. December 9th, Mars square Saturn, deceptive calm. December 5th to 8th following the volatile peak of the full moon, December 5th carries the risk of market misjudgments or reactions to unexpected news, as indicated by Mercury quincunx Chiron. From December 6th to 8th, the market adopts a more emotional and defensive tone as the moon enters Cancer, initially suggesting a risk-off environment and a focus on security assets. However, this period offers a deceptive calm. Harmonious transits involving Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn, particularly December 6th to 7th, favor rational long-term positioning and suggest that well-laid trading plans may succeed despite surface volatility. This window allows for smart money accumulation, encouraging traders to buy dips established after the initial full moon shakeout. Confidence begins to return as the moon enters Leo on December 8th, completing the shift from chaotic conditions back towards cautious optimism. Structural blockages and the sharp reversal, December 9th. The calm abruptly breaks on December 9th with Mars square Saturn, marking a critical and often bearish turning point. This red flag aspect signals structural blockages, regulatory friction, and difficulty sustaining upward price movement, often correlating with sharp market downturns or a failure of upward momentum. It initiates a distinct bearish phase, shifting focus towards risk-off assets. The dollar index, DXY, is likely to strengthen, and precious metals may find support, while risk assets struggle to achieve decisive breakouts. This period, extending into December 10th, is not ideal for fresh entries. It's best to wait for the dust to settle. Market sentiment and actions. Overall, sentiment is expected to be short-term risk-off for crypto around December 9th, with BTC and XRP potentially seeing sharp drawdowns before becoming attractive entry points for a rally. While scores for BTC and XRP are projected to remain slightly bullish, smaller altcoins become more vulnerable to sharper drawdowns. The dollar index, DXY, is expected to strengthen from 5 to 6, with gold and silver maintaining strong scores of 7-10. If BTC pumps into December 7th to 8th, trimming positions should be considered. Dips in BTC, XRP, and major altcoins around December 9th to 10th should be expected. December 10th, Neptune stations direct in Pisces and Mercury opposition Uranus. The period from December 10th to 12th is anticipated to be extremely volatile and challenging for markets, marked by a rapid shift to fear. This coincides with the highly anticipated FOMC rate decision on December 10th. On this same day, two significant astrological events occur. Neptune stations direct in Pisces, and Mercury opposes Uranus, setting the stage for a dramatic market reality check. Neptune stationing direct, particularly at the critical 29th degree of Pisces, signals a massive turning point. This alignment suggests a clearing of the fog, ending a period of confusion, and bringing greater clarity to complex financial markets. It can reveal hidden capital flows, unveil market illusions, and allow fundamentals to reassert themselves. For speculative altcoins, especially those whose valuations may be based on illusion, this period could shake out weak hands. Specifically for XRP, which has been closely tied to legal frameworks, the days following December 10th could bring decisive, potentially bullish, sentiment if clarity is favorable regarding regulation, tech vision, and global adoption. Simultaneously, Mercury opposing Uranus guarantees extreme market whipsaws, sudden reversals, and explosive price action. This alignment points to unexpected news, such as potential ETF approvals or significant macro shocks, making the period highly unstable for Bitcoin and other liquidity-driven assets. The moon's movement from analytical and nervous Virgo, December 10th to 12th, into Libra further contributes to high volatility and fear, as Libra's natural search for balance is shattered by the Mercury-Uranus opposition. December 10th, FOMC press conference. Overall astrological outlook for the FOMC rate decision. The astrological landscape leading up to and during the December 10th FOMC rate decision and press conference signals a period of significant volatility, revelation, and forced adjustment in financial markets. The event chart is dominated by a powerful finger of God, Yod, formation and a mutable square involving Mars in Sagittarius, and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Pisces, creating intense friction. This configuration points to a climate where expansive, risk-on energy clashes with restrictive, fearful reality, further complicated by confusion, illusion, and potential for both idealism and deception. The core message of the event is likely to be complex and open to interpretation, causing substantial market volatility. Macro context: Neptune stationed direct at 29 degrees Pisces. A major psycho-spiritual backdrop to this event is Neptune stationing direct at the 29th degree of Pisces. This anaretic or fated degree signifies culmination, dissolution, and a profound transition as a long Piscean cycle ends before Neptune enters Aries. Neptune conjunct Saturn compresses this oceanic, dissolving influence into a surreal hard reality, blending fear, confusion, and potential reality check moments. This atmospheric uncertainty and doubt are further amplified by Neptune squaring Venus in Sagittarius, placing pressure on values, optimism, and risk-taking. This suggests a conflict between what people wish to believe and what is truly sustainable, making it a classic aspect for market emotionalism, spin, illusion, and misinterpretation during a central bank press conference. For rulers, regulators, and market makers, this can translate into deliberately ambiguous guidance, designed to maintain market confidence without overcommitting. Large institutional players, particularly in the crypto space, may actively leverage this fog to trigger volatility and a shakeout of weak-handed retail positions. Disruptive information flow: Mercury opposite Uranus. The communication of the FOMC's message is poised to be shocking, surprising, or destabilizing due to Mercury in late Scorpio exactly opposing Uranus retrograde in Taurus. This aspect, Mercury in Scorpio, governing deep financial matters, secrets, opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus, relating to sudden moves in tangible, value-based markets like currencies, commodities, and crypto, is the most crucial for the news event. It signifies unexpected headline energy, and in combination with Neptune's haze, the initial market reaction could be erratic and whipsaw-like. Regulators and central banks may even release information with an awareness of its disruptive potential, sometimes as a controlled burn to test market resilience. This dynamic is intensified by Lilith conjunct Mercury, suggesting that hidden, uncomfortable truths or previously unacknowledged financial realities may come to light, exposing suppressed information or power imbalances. However, the presence of Mercury and Lilith trining Neptune introduces an element of confusion, ambiguity, or even deliberate obfuscation. The message, while potentially shocking, might be difficult to fully grasp, or it could be layered with idealistic spin or outright misinformation. Collective hope or delusion could also color the interpretation of the news. Dominant planetary themes: beyond the immediate aspects, Jupiter, Neptune, especially stationary, and Pluto emerge as dominant planets in the chart. This indicates that the FOMC decision extends beyond immediate interest rates, intertwining with broader themes of economic expansion or contraction, Jupiter, collective illusions and disillusionment, Neptune stationary, and fundamental power shifts within financial systems, Pluto in Aquarius. Neptune's potent stationary degree further amplifies themes of collective confusion, dissolving boundaries, and liquidity, setting the stage for a highly emotional and potentially disorienting market response, pervaded by uncertainty or wishful thinking. Expect a highly impactful and surprising announcement that challenges current financial assumptions, potentially revealing an uncomfortable truth or an unexpected shift in monetary policy, communicated in a way that fuels significant market volatility. The Finger of God Yod formation: a significant Finger of God Yod formation will be prominent, with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer and Uranus retrograde in Taurus pointing to Mars in Sagittarius. This Yod signifies a crisis of adjustment, or a karmic redirection, where deep underlying tensions demand a decisive response. The base of the Yod consists of Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. This represents a reevaluation of emotional security, nurturing, and home-based growth. Its retrograde motion suggests an internalized, slower processing of what truly constitutes safety and expansion. Uranus retrograde in Taurus, this signifies disruptive, revolutionary changes to values, financial stability, wealth, and the material world. The retrograde motion implies these shifts are happening internally, being resisted, or manifesting in unexpected or delayed ways. There is a potential for creative solutions between reevaluating emotional security and disruptive financial transformation, hinting at a new path emerging. The apex of the yacht is Mars in Sagittarius. Mars represents action, assertion, and drive, while Sagittarius embodies belief systems, philosophy, expansion, speculation, and risk-taking. The quincunx aspects from the base to the apex are crucial. Jupiter RX in Cancer to Mars in Sagittarius. This suggests that actions taken, Mars in Sagittarius, might feel emotionally incongruent with internal needs for security, Jupiter in Cancer. It requires an awkward adjustment between emotional safety and bold risk-taking. Uranus RX in Taurus to Mars in Sagittarius. This indicates that actions taken, Mars in Sagittarius, will be forced to adjust to sudden, disruptive changes in financial systems and values, Uranus in Taurus. Old methods of speculation or growth might be abruptly rendered ineffective, demanding a radical shift in approach. In markets, yachts often indicate a pivot point. This formation strongly suggests that the FOMC news will trigger a profound need for immediate decisive action, Mars in Sagittarius, that forces a critical adjustment to deeply held beliefs about financial security and established values. The retrograde planets indicate that this adjustment stems from a place of systemic reevaluation. Traders and investors will be thrust into a situation where their usual strategies and confidence are challenged by underlying shifts in what constitutes economic safety and stable value. Expect sudden tactical reversals, possibly a sharp move in one direction during the press conference, followed by a retracement or directional change within 24-48 hours, manifesting as highly impulsive, but ultimately adaptive, adjustments in market behavior, especially in areas of speculation. The role of rulers, regulators, and market makers, the whales, the Federal Reserve, acting as the primary ruler, will likely project an initially hopeful and forward-looking tone. However, underlying astrological pressures suggest policymakers are navigating a complex and conflicted landscape. While they aim to project confidence, they are simultaneously constrained by harsh economic realities and ambiguous data, indicating a difficult balancing act behind the scenes. Large financial institutions and funds are expected to adopt a deeply cautious, risk-averse, and protective stance. Their primary objective will be the preservation of capital rather than aggressive growth. These entities are likely reevaluating their positions, looking backward for security, and will be highly sensitive to any information that could threaten economic stability. Big crypto players, often referred to as whales, are poised to capitalize on market volatility and disruptive news. Their strategy may involve using initial fear to accumulate assets, buy the dip, or to trigger significant liquidations through sharp price movements, indicating a potentially ruthless and predatory trading approach. The position, reactions, and psychological effects on retail traders. Retail traders find themselves in a highly critical and emotionally reactive state. They tend to be analytical and detail-oriented but are prone to falling back on old patterns of overanalysis, second-guessing, and missing the broader emotional context. Moon in Virgo. This predisposition to excessive criticality and worry about minor details makes them highly susceptible to fear-driven decisions, often scrutinizing every word and data point from official statements, leading to either analysis paralysis or sudden panic selling. A significant internal conflict exists between their desire for growth, optimism, and speculative gains, and their cautious, risk-averse emotional core. This tension often results in emotional whiplash, with sentiment swinging rapidly from hope to fear. Traders may impulsively buy on optimism only to sell in a panic, struggling to reconcile their aspirations with their anxieties, making them vulnerable to liquidation risks, especially for those who are overleveraged. An underlying vulnerability to feelings of inadequacy in their financial decisions may also be triggered, exacerbating self-criticism and making them feel particularly exposed or incompetent. Overall, retail trader psychology will be a chaotic mix of cautious optimism quickly dissolving into anxiety and panic. Erratic behavior, overthinking, and impulsive reactions will be common, driven by a primal need for security clashing with a desire for expansion. The immediate market reaction from retail traders will be characterized by surprise and knee-jerk volatility. They will likely react sharply to unexpected headlines or data, with algorithms amplifying initial price swings. Following this initial shock, a significant period of confusion and indecision is anticipated. The Federal Reserve's guidance is expected to be ambiguous, leaving traders struggling to discern the true market direction. This will result in erratic, choppy price action, a lack of clear conviction, and high levels of analysis paralysis. A deep psychological conflict will emerge between underlying pessimism and a pressure for optimism. While a strong undercurrent of fear regarding economic contraction persists, the prevailing narrative may push for a hope trade. This internal battle will likely lead to weak rallies quickly followed by sharp sell-offs, as traders wrestle with their cautious instincts versus a desire to believe in positive outcomes. FOMC market sentiment and price movement expectations. The market environment is defined by intense volatility, emotionality, and structural confusion. The dominant astrological signature is a high concentration of water, 37.04%, and mutable energy, Pisces signature, emphasizing fluidity, adaptability, and high instability. The Mercury-Uranus opposition acts as the primary shock indicator, suggesting an unexpected announcement or financial revelation will jar the markets. This combination ensures that emotionality, rather than pure fundamentals, will initially drive price action. Expected price movements by asset class, general stock markets, initial reaction, bearish tendency, high volatility markets are likely to experience an immediate knee-jerk sell-off. The Mercury-Uranus opposition signals a shock, coupled with the restrictive and anxious energy of the Moon in Virgo and Mars square Saturn. Investors will react strongly to uncertainty and unexpected news, resulting in a swift, jarring, risk-off adjustment. Subsequent action, choppy, structural adjustment. While the strong Sagittarian energy, Sun, Venus, Mars, indicates underlying optimism and a desire to buy the dip, the market will remain extremely choppy. The Mars square Neptune transit suggests confusion and potentially misdirected actions. The Yod configuration points to a forced, deep structural adjustment in market valuations. Overall, investors should expect short-lived rallies met by further selling as the market struggles to process the long-term implications of the announcement, maintaining a general risk-off tilt. DXY, US dollar index high volatility and neutral to bullish bias. The DXY faces conflicting pressures. The Saturnian influence of restriction, structure, often supports the dollar as a relative safe haven in times of global fear and confusion, Neptune. However, the Mercury-Uranus opposition fundamentally challenges perceived financial stability. If the FOMC delivers a surprisingly dovish stance or systemic weakness is revealed, a sharp drop is possible. Absent such a shock, global uncertainty is likely to cause a choppy but ultimately supportive bias for the dollar, acting as a temporary safe harbor. Precious metals, gold, silver strong bullish tendency. Precious metals are strongly favored as safe haven assets under the sky. Uranus in Taurus, disruption of value, and the Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, reevaluation of localized security, directly support the need for tangible stores of value. Furthermore, the Neptune stationary in Pisces can signal underlying inflationary pressures and currency erosion, driving demand for hard assets. An initial bullish surge is highly likely as retail and institutional fear, Moon and Virgo anxiety, directs capital into gold and silver, especially if the dollar shows weakness. Crypto markets, BTC, XRP, and altcoins extreme volatility with underlying bullish potential. The crypto market, governed by Uranus and Pluto, is at the epicenter of this financial storm. The Mercury-Uranus opposition is the quintessential lightning bolt aspect for crypto, ensuring the sector will be extremely sensitive to announcements regarding regulation, institutions, or fiat stability. BTC, Bitcoin. It will likely experience an initial sharp drop driven by mass liquidations and general market panic risk-off behavior. Critically, the astrological pressure, the yod Uranus, suggests this shock will force a re-evaluation of alternative finance. A violent V-shaped recovery is anticipated as new capital flows into BTC as a hedge against traditional financial instability. Digital gold. XRP, Ripple highly reactive due to its institutional and legal ties, Saturn and regulatory symbolism. A surprising development related to its legal status or institutional adoption, Uranus, is possible, which could cause an outsized, exaggerated swing compared to the broader market. Altcoin groups, smaller cap and high beta altcoins will see extreme moves. Neptune's heavy influence suggests that narratives, marketing, and speculative hype, especially in categories like AI data and meme coins, will drive pumps more than fundamentals, leading to both parabolic spikes and rapid, widespread washouts. Overall, the upcoming Federal Open Market Committee (FOMC) event is anticipated to be a pivotal moment in the markets, marked by significant shock and extreme volatility. Traditional assets such as stocks and the US dollar index, DXY, are expected to face considerable structural uncertainty and a potential downside risk in the initial phase. In contrast, precious metals are positioned to benefit as investors seek them out as primary safe haven assets. The cryptocurrency market is likely to experience a dramatic shakeout, potentially leading to a liquidation event. However, the underlying potential for a rapid recovery remains strong as capital may be forced to redirect into decentralized and alternative financial ecosystems. From a psychological and strategic perspective, institutions and market makers are expected to leverage the prevailing uncertainty, often described as Neptunian fog, to their advantage, potentially trapping directional traders. Engineered volatility is probable, with large players possibly accumulating assets during periods of fear and distributing them when optimism rises. Regulators might intentionally maintain ambiguity in policy language, emphasizing data dependence and long-term monitoring, allowing market participants to interpret the tone emotionally. Retail traders are particularly vulnerable to false breakouts or breakdowns and may let emotional analysis override objective reasoning, creating a dangerous environment for over-leveraged positions. A whipsaw pattern is also likely, characterized by an initial move based on an emotional headline interpretation, followed by a swift reversal as more nuanced analysis emerges, and finally, a secondary trend forming later in the week. In summary, this FOMC meeting is poised to be a major turning point for the markets, characterized by shock, confusion, and sharp price swings. The objectives of major market players are likely to be defensive and opportunistic, while the psychological impact on traders will be one of emotional volatility and indecision. Markets may initially sell off after a brief period of perceived hope, with precious metals likely to see increased demand. The crypto market is set for a historically volatile event. This environment sets the stage for either a sell the rumor by the news outcome or a washout low that presents a significant buying opportunity for those who can navigate the uncertainty and unexpected events. The key strategy is to anticipate the unexpected and avoid blindly trusting the initial market narrative. Despite the immediate volatility and sharp sell-offs anticipated around December 10th to 12th, a broader shift towards more visionary market movements is suggested as Neptune stations direct. This period could present a prime by the dip opportunity for established cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and XRP. During this time, the presence of the moon in Virgo favors a disciplined, detail-oriented approach to market entries, allowing investors to position themselves in assets linked to long-term innovation as the market processes the immediate shocks. However, caution is strongly advised, particularly as December 14th approaches. A Mars square Neptune transit on this date indicates that any attempted rallies or aggressive actions may prove unsuccessful. This astrological aspect creates favorable conditions for pump-and-dump schemes, especially impacting high-beta altcoins where speculative valuations are particularly vulnerable to such manipulations. December 11th. 14. Last quarter moon in Virgo, Mercury enters Sagittarius and Mars square Neptune, mid-December transition and uncertainty. The period from December 11th to 14th is likely to be characterized by a shift from a risk-off to a risk-on sentiment, though not without significant volatility and confusion. The last quarter moon in Virgo on December 11th signals a reality check phase, encouraging a meticulous and analytical reassessment of investment positions. This phase is often accompanied by profit-taking and consolidation as traders evaluate their portfolios. Simultaneously, Mercury's move into Sagittarius on December 11th introduces a more expansive and optimistic outlook, potentially boosting market speculation and interest in growth-oriented assets. However, this optimistic narrative will be challenged by challenging astrological aspects, creating a choppy and uncertain market environment. Several key astrological events will shape market dynamics during this period. The last quarter moon in Virgo on December 11th encourages a critical look at investments, favoring a rotation towards value. The associated washout phase suggests traders might take profits, leading to consolidation. Mercury's transition from the intense, investigative energy of Scorpio to the expansive, philosophical realm of Sagittarius on December 11th can shift market focus towards broader economic narratives and technological innovation. This move is considered bullish for cryptocurrencies, particularly those linked to smart contracts and international payment systems. However, this newfound optimism will be tempered by challenging aspects. December 11th, the last quarter moon in Virgo emphasizes analytical review and potential profit-taking. Mercury enters Sagittarius, bringing more speculative talk and a focus on expansion. However, Mercury's conjunction with Lilith on this day could indicate rebellious energy and potential short squeezes in suppressed assets. Venus sextile Pluto in fire signs may fuel capital outflow from the USD. The moon's transit through Libra and then Scorpio during this time will seek balance but may be disrupted by conflicting energies. On December 13th, Mars quincunx Uranus, and especially on December 14th, Mars squares Neptune, will contribute to an erratic and risk-heavy environment. This Mars-Neptune square, in particular, is associated with deception, poor decision-making, and a lack of clarity, making it difficult to discern fact from fiction. This could lead to disappointing speculative bets and premature attempts to buy the dip, as the true market bottom may not yet be established. December 13th to 14th, Mars engages in challenging aspects, specifically a quincunx with Uranus and a square with Neptune. This period is marked by erratic behavior and potential delusion, making it difficult to make clear decisions. Conversely, the Sun trine Chiron on December 14th could lead to sharp recoveries in some assets after dips. Given the mixed signals and potential for confusion, a cautious approach is advised. While the shift to a risk-on sentiment may increase trading volumes and market enthusiasm, especially for riskier assets, traders should be wary of overextension due to the challenging aspects. The sentiment for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and XRP is generally neutral to bearish during the initial part of this period, with altcoins also showing similar sentiment. Swing traders are advised to consider selling on strength around December 13th to 14th, anticipating a potential pullback. For those looking to accumulate, gold and silver are recommended, with a cautious approach to leading cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. The dollar index, DXY, may weaken as capital flows out, fueled by bullish sentiment in other assets. Overall, the mid-December period presents a complex market landscape. While there are indicators of increasing optimism and potential for growth, particularly in the crypto space, traders must navigate significant volatility, confusion, and the possibility of misleading signals. A strategy of avoiding FOMO, fear of missing out, and waiting for clearer setups is recommended. December 15th to 19th, Mars enters Capricorn and Sun square Saturn, institutional stress test and consolidation. The period from December 15th to 19th is initiating a profound shift in market sentiment from the speculative Sagittarian energy to disciplined, institutional action. The ingress of Mars into Capricorn on December 15th is the primary catalyst, signaling a move towards structured governance, fundamental value, and regulatory scrutiny. This concentration of Capricorn energy, with Sun and Venus following later in the sign, and Mercury already there, indicates a severe, institutional stress test for the entire asset class, where speculative hype is likely to dissolve. Market dynamics during this time will emphasize consolidation and slower momentum. Mars in Capricorn means decisive action will only occur towards established goals, heavily penalizing speculation. Furthermore, the Sun squaring Saturn on December 17th acts as a reality check, dampening optimism and testing the structural integrity of assets. This aspect could bring negative news regarding regulations or economic data, contributing to market uncertainty and potential profit-taking in overheated assets. Altcoins, in particular, may face harsh pressure and heavy sell-offs, with Bitcoin potentially experiencing range compression. Amidst this austere environment, the focus shifts to assets demonstrating clear utility and structural stability. Assets sensitive to regulatory news, such as XRP, may experience a critical turning point as this period highlights the need for external approval and robust frameworks, potentially favoring them for accumulation. The overall market sentiment is expected to be neutral to cautious, as participants move away from impulsive buys towards well-planned, strategic investment. While the overarching tone is restrictive, a brief risk-on pocket might emerge around December 18th to 19th, influenced by Venus trine Chiron, which could soften sentiment and encourage rotation into undervalued plays. This window presents an ideal opportunity for an accumulation phase, allowing investors to buy the dip and prepare for a potential end-of-year rally, particularly targeting Bitcoin and large-cap altcoins with strong fundamentals, before the speculative energy of the upcoming Sagittarius new moon on December 20th. Significant assertive upward momentum is generally unlikely until attempts to establish a floor are solidified heading into the new year. December 20th to year-end, the Capricorn cooldown and bottoming process. The period from December 20th to 31st, termed the Capricorn cooldown and bottoming process, marks a significant astrological and financial shift, moving from a sentiment of fear towards prudence and ultimately cautious neutrality to slow accumulation. As the Sun, Venus, and Mars transition into Capricorn, the collective focus pivots from speculative hype to long-term value, structural integrity, and disciplined investment. The shift begins around December 20th to 21st. The new moon in Sagittarius on December 20th acts as a pivotal turning point, potentially marking a market bottom or reversal zone. December 20th, new moon in Sagittarius. The new moon in Sagittarius on December 20th marks a significant astrological influence on global financial markets, particularly crypto assets, setting themes that will resonate for the next 6 months. This lunation emphasizes cross-border flows, international regulation, and the growth narratives in crypto adoption, especially within emerging markets. While Sagittarius inherently brings expansionary energy and risk-on optimism, this period is tempered by a tight square to Neptune, indicating potential uncertainty, speculative hype, or eventual disillusionment if fundamentals don't align with these narratives. Additionally, a separating square to Saturn suggests underlying regulatory limitations or structural barriers that could emerge beneath the surface optimism. Despite these cautionary astrological elements, several factors lend support to a cautiously bullish outlook. Venus conjunct the new moon enhances market appeal, generating strong retail interest and marketable narratives, particularly for tokens linked to payment systems, interoperability, and fintech adoption, such as XRP. Simultaneously, Mars in Capricorn favors strategic positioning and moves by institutional and large-scale investors. In the short term, the next 2 weeks until early January, markets can expect bursts of bullish enthusiasm in risk assets like Bitcoin, altcoins, and commodities, especially those responsive to global adoption headlines. However, the Neptune square warns of potential fake-out rallies where promising narratives may later dissolve, leading to increased volatility, particularly in thinly traded, social media-hyped altcoins. By the time of the full moon, some of this initial optimism may meet a reality check. Looking at the broader 6-month cycle, this Sagittarius new moon seeds themes of optimism and expansion, potentially leading to the launch of new global-oriented crypto projects and a warmed retail psychology driven by big-picture stories. The cycle will culminate in a Gemini full moon around June 2026, when the focus will shift to hard facts, data, and liquidity flows, often bringing sharp fluctuations as both retail and institutional sides recalibrate their positions. This period highlights a dynamic tension between the solar side, representing regulators and market leaders who may be driven by expansion but with Saturnian caution, possibly releasing new policy frameworks, and the lunar side, which reflects retail traders' initial euphoria, susceptible to Neptune's confusion. This divergence could manifest as big promises from industry leaders that retail investors embrace, while institutions quietly hedge or position defensively. Overall market sentiment, while mixed, leans slightly bullish for specific crypto assets. Bitcoin (BTC) is rated 6.510, mildly bullish, benefiting from risk-on energy and institutional activity, though Neptune caps its upside. XRP stands out at 7.010, bullish, favored by themes of cross-border finance and fintech, supported by strong Venusian influence. In traditional markets, the DXY US dollar index is 4.510, bearish to neutral, as risk-on sentiment typically weakens the dollar, while gold XAU is 6.010, moderately bullish, and silver XAG is 6.510, bullish, both receiving a lift from expansionary sentiment and Neptune's erosion of fiat confidence. This period encourages strong short-term enthusiasm and institutional positioning, but market participants are advised to exercise caution and discern reality from speculative hype. December 21st to 24th, Sunday in Venus enters Capricorn, winter solstice. As December progresses towards its end, the celestial alignments indicate a significant shift in market sentiment towards caution and stability. The entry of the Sun into Capricorn on December 21st, coinciding with the winter solstice, marks a transition from expansive, risk-taking energies to a more disciplined and pragmatic approach. This shift is expected to favor established, stable assets like Bitcoin and precious metals such as gold and silver, while potentially creating bearish pressure on highly speculative cryptocurrencies. The period surrounding the winter solstice, particularly from December 21st to the 24th, is characterized by several challenging planetary aspects. These include squares between the Sun and Neptune, Venus and Saturn, Venus and Neptune, and Jupiter and Chiron. These configurations may contribute to market confusion, emotional fatigue, and a general risk-off sentiment. Investors are advised to be wary of potential dead cat bounces in volatile assets and to consider preserving capital, potentially even reducing leverage in cryptocurrency positions. Further reinforcing this trend, Venus enters Capricorn on December 24th. This placement signifies a preference for tangible, proven assets over speculative ventures. The market mood is likely to become more serious and pragmatic, with a focus on institutional credibility, regulatory developments, and government-influenced economic policies. While this period might present opportunities for investors willing to act on potential dips, the overall outlook suggests a move away from exuberance and towards a more conservative financial strategy. December 25th, 31, first quarter moon in Aries, Mercury squares Saturn. The period spanning December 25th through 31st is expected to feature volatile and choppy trading conditions, driven by typically low holiday liquidity. Sentiment for highly speculative assets remains neutral to bearish heading into the new year. Initial market momentum may be driven by the first quarter moon in aggressive Aries on December 27th, which could instigate impulsive, risk-on moves, potentially leading to quick altcoin pumps. This event marks the highest likely peak for any year-end rally, but these upward moves are viewed as potentially short-lived and overextended. However, this aggressive momentum is set to be tested sharply at the close of the year. A Mercury-Saturn square around December 30th and 31st often signals a sobering reality check, bringing increased resistance, profit-taking, and caution. This suggests a potential market drop or consolidation, making the final days of the year the likely low point before January begins. Given this outlook, the recommended strategy is capital preservation. Traders are advised to take profits before the expected downturn on December 29th, 30th and wait for a potential rebuy opportunity in early January if market corrections hold. Not financial advice. Market Sentiment Forecast, December 2025. December 2025 marks a significant market shift, moving from speculative excitement towards a period of disciplined consolidation. This transition, driven by the astrological influences of Sagittarius giving way to Capricorn, signifies a move from hype to reality. The month's sentiment reflects this dynamic, with an overall, cautiously bullish, long-term outlook tempered by a strong probability of a severe mid-month correction, resulting in a short-term operational score leaning towards bearish neutral. The first half of December is expected to be volatile and risk-on, potentially leading to a market peak. This is fueled by Sagittarius' expansive energy, benefiting speculative assets and projects with grand, international narratives, as well as Bitcoin under a digital gold theme. However, this exuberance is susceptible to sharp swings, particularly under the full moon in Gemini and Mars in Sagittarius. The latter half of the month will see a distinct shift towards caution and clarity, initiating a structural cooldown. A key turning point around December 10th, with Neptune stationing direct, is expected to reduce the appeal of purely speculative assets and expose low-utility projects. This phase encourages market consolidation and corrections, prompting investors to reevaluate fundamentals, especially with challenging transits like the Sun square Saturn on December 17th. As the month concludes, the Capricorn influence will favor structure and regulation, benefiting established cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and XRP due to their focus on real-world utility and institutional adoption, while speculative altcoins may face reduced liquidity. Asset-specific forecasts, detailed market-by-market analysis. Bitcoin, BTC Bitcoin is anticipated to experience a volatile yet generally bullish December, with sentiment scores mostly ranging from neutral bullish to strongly bullish. The early part of the month benefits significantly from the optimistic and speculative, fire energy of Sagittarius, which promotes risk appetite and narrative-driven rallies. However, this period is also marked by intense astrological pressures, indicating a potential clash between bullish hopes and market realities, which could lead to periods of consolidation and reevaluation. Opportunities to buy dips and initiate long positions are identified throughout the month. Early December, specifically December 1st to 7th, offers initial upside potential. Mid-month dips, particularly around December 10th to 14th, are highlighted as prime buying opportunities for rebound trades. The latter half of December, especially from the new moon in Sagittarius around December 20th to 24th, is considered an optimal launchpad for new bullish positions. As astrological influences shift with Mars and the Sun entering Capricorn after December 15th, stronger institutional positioning is expected, reinforcing BTC's role as digital gold and driving renewed upside potential towards month-end, December 27th to 31st, fueled by momentum from the first quarter Aries moon. Conversely, critical periods for potential bearish pressure and market tops are also signaled. The Gemini full moon around December 3rd to 5th is consistently noted as a time for a possible short-term top or increased volatility, suggesting it as a strategic point to sell into strength. A sharp sell-off could also materialize around December 9th to 10th. The period between December 17th to 21st is identified as particularly critical, with astrological alignments pointing to a significant market top due to a clash with harsh realities, potentially involving liquidity, regulation, or a major sell-off event. Further sell opportunities or potential blow-off tops are also indicated towards the very end of the month, around December 28th to 31st, extending into early January. Throughout these expected fluctuations, Bitcoin is often positioned as a digital gold, with the potential to outperform altcoins as more stable Capricorn energy takes hold. While there's a prevailing bullish bias with long-term targets by Q1 2026, some analyses suggest a reevaluation of its store of value proposition and underlying structural or regulatory challenges, especially during periods of high volatility. The latter half of December may also see increased greed and speculative activity. XRP, astrological outlook suggests a generally neutral to cautiously bullish period for XRP, heavily influenced by its ongoing regulatory and legal landscape. Key astrological transits point to potential for significant news or clarity regarding its status, particularly around December 10th to 18th, when Neptune stations direct, increasing the likelihood of legal or global settlement announcements. The shift of Mercury into Sagittarius from December 11th is also expected to foster optimism surrounding XRP's legal narrative and its utility for cross-border payments, aligning with broader themes of global finance. However, this period is also marked by anticipated high volatility, especially around December 10th to 11th, due to the potential for sudden, unexpected news. Traders are advised to exercise caution during these times, as there's a risk of false breakouts. After December 15th, Mars entering Capricorn is expected to usher in a phase of slower, more disciplined accumulation. The sentiment shifts slightly more cautious after December 24th as Venus enters Capricorn, indicating a market focus on fundamentals rather than speculative excitement, and potentially favoring established assets over speculative altcoins. While short-term gains are possible, the overall regulatory sensitivity is seen as a limiting factor, with explosive gains potentially deferred until Jupiter goes direct in 2026. The general sentiment scores for XRP hover around a cautious 610. Accumulation phases are anticipated, with potential bottoms around December 20th to 21st, or a deeper low towards December 27th to 28th, contingent on broader market movements. Altcoins. Throughout December, the altcoin market is expected to undergo significant shifts, moving from a period of high speculation to one favoring fundamental strength and utility. Early December, bullish for innovation, high speculation. The initial part of the month, driven by strong Sagittarian energy, creates a bullish environment for innovative altcoins. This period particularly favors newer Web3, metaverse, and decentralized finance, DeFi, projects with compelling visionary narratives, along with those focused on education, travel, or global connectivity. Small to mid-cap altcoins showing recent developments are likely to experience speculative pumps due to optimism and initial hype. However, this phase is characterized by high volatility, especially around the December 4th full moon, and investors should be prepared for potential sharp corrections mid-month. Taking profits early, particularly between December 3rd to 5th or 8th to 9th, is advised to capitalize on these speculative rallies. Not financial advice. Mid to late December, shift to utility and fundamentals as astrological energy shifts towards Capricorn. In mid to late December, market sentiment pivots sharply from speculative fervor to a demand for tangible substance. This period turns bearish for purely speculative or meme-based coins lacking real utility, as a reality check sets in. The focus shifts to altcoins with established utility, strong fundamentals, institutional backing, clear roadmaps, and real-world applications. Utility tokens, infrastructure projects, and those demonstrating regulatory compliance are favored. While large-cap altcoins like ETH, SOL, and ADA, along with AI and real-world asset, RWA, tokens, are expected to show greater resilience. Even institutional-focused assets like XRP may not be entirely immune to a general market downturn affecting speculative assets. A major market top is probable between December 17th to 21st, with a significant sell-off expected through December 24th, signaling danger for hype-driven altcoins. Underlying influences and strategic recommendations. Beyond these monthly phases, Pluto in Aquarius continues to drive bullish sentiment for altcoins involved in decentralized technologies, AI integration, privacy solutions, and community governance. Conversely, Uranus retrograde in Taurus may introduce unexpected volatility to stablecoins and tokenized real-world assets. Neptune going direct in Pisces will act as a filter, favoring altcoins with genuine purpose and exposing those built on hype or deception. Given these dynamics, cautious accumulation of only high-quality projects is recommended from December 24th onwards. Many speculative altcoins that pumped earlier in the month may not recover their initial highs, making quality and utility paramount for late-month investment strategies. Dollar Index, DXY. The US dollar index is anticipated to experience a U-shaped trend through the month, beginning with a period of weakness before strengthening significantly towards year-end. Early December, influenced by expansive Sagittarian energy, generally favors risk on assets, leading to a softer dollar as capital flows into riskier, international investments. Specific bearish phases are noted for early December, though some volatility and temporary safe haven boosts might occur. A pivotal shift is expected from mid-month onwards, particularly after December 15th, as multiple key planets, Mars, Sun, and Venus, ingress into Capricorn. This strong Capricorn influence, associated with structure, authority, traditional finance, and established institutions, is a fundamentally bullish catalyst for the DXY. Mars in Capricorn, from December 15th, is expected to provide upward momentum, followed by the Sun's ingress, December 21st, and Venus in Capricorn, December 24th, further solidifying the dollar's strength. This period is characterized by a return to more conservative capital flows, increased demand for the dollar as a safe haven asset, and tightening liquidity, especially with Mercury squaring Saturn towards the end of the month. Consequently, the DXY is projected to stabilize and turn decidedly bullish in the final third of the month, with a strong push expected around the December 21st to 24th period and onward. This projected strength in the US dollar is anticipated to act as a short-term headwind for risk assets like cryptocurrencies and potentially precious metals, capping any bullish moves they might otherwise experience. While the dollar faces underlying structural challenges and long-term questions about its dominance, the immediate outlook for late December is firmly bullish, with a potential local top around year-end. Precious metals, gold and silver. Precious metals, including gold, XAU, and silver, XAG, are forecast to experience a complex and volatile December, ultimately culminating in a strongly bullish outlook. The month is anticipated to begin with a neutral to mildly bearish sentiment, as initial Sagittarian energy and the appeal of riskier assets may temporarily divert funds away from safe haven investments. This early phase could see demand for gold tempered. A significant shift towards bullishness is projected to occur around December 9th to 10th. This transition is expected to usher in a risk-off environment, driven by astrological alignments such as Neptune turning direct and potential disruptions from Uranus retrograde. As capital potentially flees volatile crypto and equity markets, particularly around a projected crypto sell-off in late December. Strong safe haven flows are anticipated to benefit both gold and silver. The ingress of planets into the tangible, earthy sign of Capricorn further supports this trend, with gold expected to perform strongly as a true safe haven asset, decoupling from the US dollar index, DXY, while silver is noted for its best macro setup and amplified volatility. Gold's primary role as a safe haven will be activated by heightened geopolitical uncertainty, urging investors to buy on pullbacks for accumulation. Silver, typically the more speculative precious metal, is projected to exhibit even stronger momentum than gold. It will benefit from both safe haven flows and robust industrial demand, particularly in sectors like green energy and high-tech manufacturing, bolstered by Mars entering Capricorn around December 15th. Aggressive buying of silver is recommended, especially in the December 10-20 window, with the Mercury-Uranus opposition identified as a potential catalyst for a technical breakout. Not financial advice. Overall, sentiment scores for both gold and silver lean strongly bullish for much of the month. Key buying opportunities are identified across several periods, including early December, anticipating shifts, mid-month, during initial turmoil and Neptune direct, and later in the month, amidst potential crypto sell-offs. However, investors should be cautious around December 24th to 26th, as high volatility and intense moon transits could lead to a temporary peak or a blow-off, making it an opportune time for profit-taking. Towards the close of the month, the rising structural strength of the DXY may cap further gains, potentially leading to a largely sideways finish for precious metals, despite the month's earlier strong performance. This concludes our December 2025 crypto market astrology analysis. Please support my work, like, share, comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time.